Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Chaos Room. It's Rahul, and with me I have top four finisher from Latin America, Connor Finton. What's up, Connor?
Nothing much. How are you doing?
I'm good, good. How are you?
Good.
So, Connor, for those who don't know a little bit about you, tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm a competitive player from the Atlanta, Georgia area. Do you want me to talk about like accomplishments or like
Sure, yeah,
just me in
accomplishments would be
general?
good. Yeah.
Big ones this season. I top four Dallas regionals and of course top four this tournament. Last year I won Kansas City regionals and I won North and South Carolina states. And I had a top. I was day two worlds last year. They had the auto invite for top 16. So
And you're in a pretty good position for this season as well.
yeah, I'm basically locked.
Yeah.
So.
So, you've been having a pretty good season for yourself, especially in this 500 CP jungle, which has been a little bit of a tough season for a lot of competitors, it seems like, but you've been finding success.
Yeah.
So, talk to us a little bit about why you played Decidueye Plume. Your list is nothing crazy. It's probably one of the most standard lists I've seen.
Yeah. So I had been playing after Oceania. Alex Hill, who is like one of my biggest testing partners, and he lives in Atlanta as well. He top eighted Oceania. If you look at the list, it's only one card different from the list that he played in Oceania. I was like, for League Cups, I was like, I'm just gonna play Decidueye because it's the best deck. And so I went, and then I won 2 League Cups really easy. I was like, oh, okay, the deck's pretty solid. And so I and I'm like pretty confident that I'm gonna play Decidueye. We were testing some other so we were testing Rayquaza actually the day before the tournament, and then we played a few games. I played a bunch of games in the airport, like by myself, testing hands with Rayquaza, and was setting up every single game. And I was like, this is ridiculous if it sets up. And then we got to Brazil, and I played like 5 games with it, and was like, wow, this is terrible. So I was like, I'm just gonna play Decidueye. And so a funny story too. The rest of the room, I was pretty sure I was just gonna play Decidueye, and I went to bed at like 9 o'clock at night, and I woke up at 2 in the morning to everyone still in the room asking me for Lapras cards. I was like, oh, yeah. So I was like, okay, that'll be fun. You guys go lose, and I'm gonna go win.
Well, things happen in those 5 hours.
Yeah, some things happened, but I don't know. Decidueye just was the best deck, and still is the best deck, and it's just the deck that I felt the most comfortable with going into the tournament. So.
Sure. And it did lead you to good success, along with 12 people being in day two with the deck, so that speaks volumes for itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, talk to us a little bit about your day one run, I guess.
So day one was interesting. I was in I had to win out the last 3 rounds. Like I lost round one to the Decidueye Plume, and if you hear me say Decidueye Plume, that means I probably lost because apparently I'm trash at that matchup. So I just went second and just didn't set up. Then round two I played against a Volcanion and did set up and got out turn one Plumes both games. And then rounds 3 and 4 were real easy. I played against Passimian and then Brilliant Arrow Mega Gardevoir, and they didn't put up much of a fight, to be honest.
Usually I've heard that Brilliant Arrow Mega Gardevoir should be a tough matchup for Decidueye. It was just like a breeze for you, or you just didn't.
Yeah, it's like they just I mean he didn't have Spirit Links, so he had to manually Mega, and like I just Lysander a bunch, and whenever he played down a stadium, I just replaced it. I don't know. It wasn't difficult. I think he took 2 prizes in 3 games or in 2 games. So.
Okay.
Round 5, I played against Groudon, and Groudon actually difficult. Game 1, well, the part of the issue is just so they have the 4 Wobbuffet, and it's really difficult. But game 1, he's got a Groudon on his bench. He's got like a turn 2 Primal, and then he's got like 3 Wobbuffets on board, and I can't really do much about that. But I started attacking with Dartrix to hit his Groudon on the bench. And that's actually, like, we were talking about it earlier. Jay Lesage had mentioned that strategy, and I think that's the best way to play that matchup, is when they have a bunch of Wobbuffets. If they don't have, like, a big Groudon on the bench that you can Lysander to the baby, then you can just Dartrix and hit the bench one, and they have to be an aggressor. Like, they have to go eventually they have to attack. And so you just get it in range to either knock it out with an Arrow Ball from Lugia, or if they don't have the weakness policy down, a Razor Leaf.
It's very smart, yeah.
And then game 2 was really close. Like game 1, it's very long. The games are very long because you're sitting there attacking with Dartrix for 20 for like 6 turns at least. Like it's forever. 6 turns isn't enough. You spend a lot of time attacking with Dartrix and just setting up your board. In game 2, I had a similar strategy, but he got 2 Groudon set up, and I ended up losing. And with going into game 3, we had about 2 minutes left in time, And so he starts Groudon, which is okay. We're good. That's what we want him to start, so I can set up. And so I get out the turn 1 Plume, but I don't get any. I was able to attach an energy that turn, but I had to attach to Beedrill. So I was like, oh, this isn't ideal. But he ends me, and then I draw and I set up. I get drawn to like a Decidueye line and 2 Grass energy. So I was like, oh, sick. I attach the energy to Beedrill, and he doesn't draw another Pokemon off the end. So I have the Vileplume out, and I go attack with Pin Missile and knock him out with like 30 seconds left in time. Knock out a Groudon.
Good lord.
To not force the tie. I was like, sick. Okay, Beedrill. It's the only time over the entire tournament that I had a relevant attack with the Beedrill EX.
So pretty much a useless card.
Yeah, I if I could go back and change that card and I'd cut it. Just for this tournament, in my local area, Garbodor is huge, so the Beedrill was very important. But here in this tournament, it just wasn't.
Gotcha.
And then round 6, I played against Diego Casiraga, who ended up top 8ing the tournament, and he was playing Decidueye Plume, which means that I lost. And then I played a pretty I played against a Mega Rayquaza, and it wasn't very eventful that next round. It was pretty much how the matchup goes. Like game 2, I went first game 1 and 3. Game 2, he went first and just set up and hexed me a bunch, and I wasn't able to do anything. Round 8, I played against Volcanion. And that one really wasn't anything eventful either. That one I actually got very lucky to go first and get out turn 1 Plume, games 1 and 3, and just lock him down completely. Like those games just didn't do anything. Round 9 is interesting because the only attacks I used in the entire round were Hollow Hunt GX and Sky Return. Game 1, I went first again, and I started Vileplume. I got a Vileplume turn 1, but it was in the active. But I got 3 Decidueyes down that turn as well. So he had the baby Volcanion, and I Feather Arrowed it 3 times and passed, and then he went draw, attach energy, and I Feather Arrowed, and he drew, didn't hit anything, so he just lost that game. Game 2, he went first, and he Hoopa'd for 3 Volcanion EXs, and benched all 3 of them when he started Volcanion EX as well.
Oh boy.
And so I played 3 Lysanders, and then I Hollow Hunted for 3 Lysanders. I just Lysandered a bunch. And then his board was, he had 11 energies on board, and I Lysandered Baby Volcanion. And he couldn't, he only had a few cards left in deck. And I only ended up getting out, 1 Decidueye this whole game. He had 12 energies on this field after he attached to the Baby Volcanion, so I just Sky Returned until he decked out.
Nice.
So, and then that was my day 1. So I went 7-2, made day 2.
A couple of eventful attacks here and there, but other than that, the deck's set up and you had a good time.
Yeah.
And 7-2 going in, you're one of the 4 U.S. competitors moving on to the second day.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive considering there wasn't that many guys that went out there. I think 14 was the number.
It's 14 if we count J, so 14 if we count all of North America.
Yeah, 14
in Canada.
Yeah. And then, so it's a pretty big representation there. And I'll be honest, were you expecting that big of a tournament, the 600 and something players, or were you just expecting?
So I had been saying beforehand that I expected at least 500, probably a little bit more than that, just based off the how many players had gone to the Brazilian Nationals last year. I believe it was over 400 last season.
Okay.
So it was already a pretty big tournament. So I knew that this was definitely going to be the biggest of the 3 they've had so far.
Okay, so that makes sense. And this is just like a standard U.S. regionals for you at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
And so now you're in day 2, probably feeling pretty good, locked up 80 points at the minimum, and some good money. So talk to us about your day 2.
So round 1, I played against my first non-South American of the tournament. I played against Brent Tonneson from Australia, and he was playing Decidueye, but this time I actually won. So I went first and set up, and he didn't. That was the first time I'd gone first against Decidueye. So I just went first and set up, and then game 2 he just didn't set up, which is unfortunate, but that just kind of happens sometimes with the deck. And so I ended up winning that round. Round 2, I played against Nicolas Galaz from Chile, and he went first in the Decidueye mirror. And I did basically the opposite of what happened against Brent. Game 1, he locked me out. Game 2, I went first and just didn't set up. And then I played against Robin Schultz in round 12, and we played on stream. That match was he was playing Turbo Dark, which was the first time over the tournament that I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is a deck that I like have a good matchup against that I expected to play. Because I had expected to play against a lot more Dark throughout the tournament, and I didn't play against hardly any. But I just feel like the match was very strong. Tauros puts in a lot of work, so it went pretty well. And I won 2-0. And then in round 13, I played against. I need to win this game to make top 8, or to be able to ID into top 8. And I play against Plume, and I go first. And game one, I set up and win. Kind of just like the Plume mirror just goes like that. Sometimes you just get a turn on Vile Plume and you win because of it. And then in game 2, he went first, locked me out of the game. We didn't really play too much. Game 3, he went first, and he whiffed the Vile Plume, but he also played 3 Sycamore and 3 N on the first turn. So like my setup wasn't very good, but I was sure that at this point, like he's just not going to draw into much. He only has 1 more Sycamore left in the deck. He's going to have to like hollow hunt for all of his supporter cards, and then he plays his hand. He shamans during his like next turn, his second turn, and he plays his hand down to 0 cards and he doesn't hit the grass energy either. So he just has a Decidueye active with a DCE, and that's his entire board basically. And so I just ended up I had Tauros, and I just Feather Arrowed the active a bunch and killed things and won because he couldn't draw anything because he played all of his draw supporters on the first turn. And then the last round of day 2, I played against Yui-chun, who was playing Volcanion, but we just ID'd because it was pretty safe at that point. Only one was going to bubble if all the situations happened perfectly. Like, worst case was 1, best case was 0 bubble, so it was pretty safe.
Yeah, that's very safe tie game. At that point, you really don't want to risk playing another one.
Mm-hmm.
So, doing pretty good. You've locked yourself into day 3 now, and that is top 8 of a big Intercontinental. Must feel pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Especially after I had...
Sorry, finish what you were saying. You can finish your thought.
Oh, yeah, so especially after in London and in Australia, I just top 64 those 2 tournaments, which isn't awful, but it's not really what I wanted to do. So just to be able to top 8 one felt really, really nice.
Yeah, because even top 32 probably felt pretty good at that point.
Yeah, top 30 should have felt pretty good too, yeah.
And now you're moving in, and you look at the bracket, and there's 3 other Decidueye Plume along with you in that top 8.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly it was the best deck for the tournament. And talk to us about your day 3 then, because you had a... Yeah.
So when standings went up, I saw what I was playing against, and I was pretty excited about that. I was playing against Philip Schultz, who was 60 Turbo Dark list that his brother was playing the day before. And that was definitely my best matchup in top 8. Like, if I had to pick a deck to play against, I would have played against the Turbo Dark. Because it was Volcanion and Decidueye Plume. So I go into top 8, and I play against Turbo Dark. Game 1. Like, I had all of my Decidueye pieces in my hand, like the big pieces, but no Rowlets. I couldn't hit a draw supporter or energies to set up, and it just... I didn't get turn on Plume, but I got the Plume out, but like I didn't end up doing too much. I got the 1 Decidueye, and after that, I was just kind of done. But then game 2, I didn't get Vile Plume out game 2 or 3, but I was able to go with Tauros. I think I started Tauros game 2 and 3, and Tauros in that matchup is super good because you can just, if they like Oblivion Wing it twice, you can Mad Bull and knock out an EX. So they like Oblivion Wing twice, and you hit them for 60 twice, and then you Feather Arrow to knock out the Oblivion Wing, and then you just blow something up. So it's really good. And I was able to win game 2, and then game 3 was very short. I think it was like he went first, and then I went 60 to his active Shaman, and he came up and hit me for 80 with a Darkrai EX, and then I like Mad Bulled it, and then 2-shot a Darkrai and killed the Shaman with Feather Arrows like the next turn. So it was real short.
It was
but
a game. It was action packed. I was watching that one on stream. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was like it was quick, but it was also really close, and it was only like 4 or 5 turns, but it was still interesting to watch. I think he ended up Sycamoring, and he needed to hit his Parallel City to knock the Shaman off his bench to keep himself in the game, and he wasn't able to hit it. And then in top 4, I'm playing Decidueye Mirror, and I go first, which makes me I feel real good about going first, and I end up drawing real bad game 1, but I still I I was able to pull out the game. I used Dartrix's attack a couple times, actually in that game 2, in my top 4 match to knock out a Decidueye that I'd hit real hard earlier. And then games 2 and 3, I just honestly just didn't draw much. Game 3, we both drew kind of bad to start, and I was taking a pretty commanding lead. And then he Lysandered like a Rowlet or an Oddish on my bench. I don't remember which one. And I had been just attacking with Lugia. And so he Lysanders it, and I just don't have anything in my hand. I have 2 ends, so I play one of them, and if I hit an energy or a float stone, I feel very good about my position. And I have drawing into like double Revitalizer, Lysander, level ball. So I don't draw into much there, and he ends up setting up that game, and I don't really draw anything else, and he ends up winning and moving on to finals. So
Yep, that was a very crippling end. Everyone watching was devastated.
Yeah.
See no American finals, but still top 4, pretty good run. 300
Yeah.
CP, some good money, and can't be too upset.
No, I'm not upset about it at all.
So if you could, like you
Very
said,
excited.
You were talking about it a little bit, but if you could go back and change, I guess, any cards in this list for the tournament, would you?
Yeah, well, like I said, I would, if I were going to drop anything, I'd drop the Beedrill. If I'd have known what the meta was going to look like going in, like exactly there'd just be almost no Garbodor, then I would have either played the 4th Grass or the 2nd Lugia. I'm not sure which one. But I would have dropped the Beedrill for sure.
Mm-hmm. So that's and moving forward, you are definitely going for the day 2 berth. You're almost locked, certainly.
Yeah.
So what regionals can, I guess, everyone expect to see you at moving forward?
Well, in a week and a half, I'll be in, or just about a week, actually, I'll be in Virginia. And then the week after that, I'll be in Toronto. And then whatever Madison is, I'm going to Madison as well. So, and that should be it for the season.
So 3 more big ones, and then obviously everyone's going to be at Internats.
Yeah.
Indeed.
For sure.
So we'll be sure to see you there. And floor is yours now to do any shout-outs, plugs you want to do. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, shout out to my team, Monstars, for helping me test and getting me ready for the tournament. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter at CondorTCG, CONNDORTCG, that'd be great. That's about it. So.
Very brief list of shout-outs
Yes.
and plugs.
Yes. Very brief.
All right. Thank you so much for being here with us, Connor, and hope to see you in
Thanks,
the
Rahul.
future.